What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Uncanny Spider-Man, issue number 1. This story is going to be focused around Nightcrawler. Now, Nightcrawler, he had to disappear. Before the fall of X, they had really messed with his genes. At least his stepmother did. She had done this under the instructions of Orcas, but she also had her own goals in mind. This caused an excess mutation. Individuals like Nightcrawler, their mutant abilities, they were amplified to almost monstrous levels. Nightcrawler was looking like a straight-up demon, and he was used as a weapon. He was the poster child for Orcas, an example of how mutant kind is so dangerous. So Nightcrawler has become one of the most wanted mutants on the planet. But after the excess mutation had gone away, he knew that he had to make a run for it. And so before the Hellfire Gala even kicked off, Nightcrawler was gone. He was in the wind. And since the fall of X, he has been hiding in the shadows, doing everything he can to try and help anybody that needs it. Obviously, needing a disguise, he is now one of the Spider-Men. Now, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we have two goons who are hightailing it through the park. They got a Spider-Man on their tail and they know that they gotta get away. They are also very aware that Spider-Men, they need the buildings to be able to shoot the webs and move how they do. This is why they went through the park, hoping that going through the park would not give them the opportunity to have such agility. It would give these guys the chance to actually get away. But what they are unaware of is that they are not dealing with a regular everyday web-slinging Spider-Man. This Spider-Man can teleport. As we see the Spider-Man Nightcrawler bamf in, it doesn't take him long to take these guys down. With their vehicle up in a tree, Nightcrawler has been practicing on his little one-liners. The one-liners that Spider-Man does anytime he's facing off against a bad guy, telling these guys that they need to practice their parking. But he also goes on to explain why he said this. But when the man picks up his rifle, he begins to shoot. And Nightcrawler doesn't waste any time taking this guy down, as he draws out his astral sword, the living embodiment of his own faith. This criminal never stood a chance. But as Nightcrawler sits here and he observes everything that is ongoing, this is when the homeless in the park come up to him. They have heard that he is the new Spider-Man, and they are all very curious on who he is and what he is doing. But while they have this conversation, this is when a sentinel arrives. The sentinel detects a mutant, and though Nightcrawler tries to get everybody out of here, the homeless say that there are no mutants here. There is only Spider-Man. And as the sentinel goes on to do a gene scan, Nightcrawler begging everybody to just run, to get out of here before it is too late. This is when something whispers in the ear of Nightcrawler. It tells him to relax. It tells him that they got this. And after the Sentinel does its scan, it detects no mutants. And so with the Sentinel leaving, Nightcrawler takes off and we pick up with him meeting up with Spider-Man. Him and Spider-Man just talking about everything that has been ongoing. Also talking about the Astral Cutlass. He is very much enjoying being a street-level crime fighter. But Spider-Man does let him know the Astral Cutlass. Is that some kind of mutant thing or what is it? And Nightcrawler, he says no. That what this is my adoptive mother is an evil sorceress who utilized my crisis of faith to turn my innate optimism into a magical weapon and then tried to steal it kind of thing. Spider-Man not really knowing what to say about this, he goes on to ask Kurt what he is going to be doing long term. Because Kurt was pretty clear when he first showed up, a spare super suit, hiding in plain sight, helping people from the shadows, and clearing his name, because Nightcrawler has been blamed for many of things. Most of those are assassinations. Now this is where things get a little bit out of character, I feel, for both Spider-Man and for Kurt. There's just a couple lines of dialogue that don't necessarily fit into who these characters are. For example, Spider-Man goes on to say that all the stuff they are saying mutants did, I don't know how much of that is true, but the problem is Spider-Man wouldn't say something like this. this. You would think that Spider-Man would be siding with the X-Men, not questioning the validity of what is true and what is not true, especially when we're talking about Orcas. I mean, heck, Captain America is out there restarting the Unity because of all of this. And then you have Spider-Man telling Kurt that, like, yeah, man, I don't know what's actually true and not true. But then Nightcrawler begins to have a conversation with himself. Whatever spoke to him back when the Sentinel was trying to scan his genes, it is talking to him again. This is almost like a devil on his shoulder, and it is saying that you should tell him that all your friends, all your people, exiled to who knows where, tell him about your faith. Tell him about your mother. Tell him about turning into an actual horny devil. Tell him it ain't fair that a white boy from Queens gets to swing about all swashbuckling with no extra pressure added. And that's the kind of part that I don't really feel like is in character, even if this were a devil on his shoulder. Like, I get it. It's very popular these days for them to be like, oh, you're a white boy, you don't understand. But in this context, we're talking about Spider-Man. We're talking about Peter freaking Parker. This isn't your average everyday dude. It's almost insulting to boil it down simply to Spider-Man being a white boy from Queens, but with the devil on his shoulder telling him that he really needs to tell everything to Peter Parker. That's when Spider-Man says that he's got to swing out of here, that he's got to get going. And so while Kurt tries to figure out his place in this new world, we are taken over to Orcas. They have done a scan and they are 97% sure that they have found Nightcrawler. But for some reason, the Sentinel didn't pursue him. They know that he wasn't at the Hellfire Gala. But what is also unknown to Kurt is that he doesn't know about Ultimatum X. That for every mutant that is found on Earth, 10 humans will die because of it. But our doctor here, he's not so much worried about him. What he wants to know about is the resurrection. He sees mutant kind as selfish, that they have kept this all to themselves. While he experiments, we see the mutant break free. In doing so, he is knocked to the ground. But what we learn is that this is no ordinary person. This is no ordinary doctor. This is in fact Vulture. Now working for Orcas, he is referred to as Director Vulture. With him taking down the mutant, he goes on to talk about Kurt. Now, the Sentinel, it may not have recognized that that was Nightcrawler, but it scanned for the X gene and it picked up nothing. So how is it he is invisible to it? These scanners were created by Nimrod himself. So theoretically, they should work perfectly. This is where Vulture decides it is time to outsource. A way to bring him down without having it tied to them. As we pick up in the park later the next morning, with Kurt just observing the beauty of the city, the beauty of the sunrise. This is when a runner has somebody come up to them and gets ready to rob them. It doesn't take long for our hero to jump into action. With him bamfing in, he kicks this dude in the face. Knocking him down to the ground, he tries to get up to stab Nightcrawler only to miss over and over and over again. Nightcrawler puts this dude down, and the girl comes over and jumps into the arms of Nightcrawler. This is when the necklace on her neck, it begins to beat. It is glowing red. This necklace is meant to detect mutant kind, and Orcas has been handing them out for free. This is making every single person that is on Earth an immediate detector of who might be a mutant. Now, this girl, obviously oblivious, doesn't understand that the mutant might actually be the person on the ground, not the person that just rescued her. But Nightcrawler trying to make something up on the spot, saying that he needs to get back to the demon dimension. This is when we see the person that he beat up that lies on the ground. The face changes, and this is in fact Mystique. So Nightcrawler, he grabs her very confused, not knowing what is going on. She is only asking, where is my baby? We have to assume that she is referring to Destiny. But with Nightcrawler getting out of here, we pick up with a mercenary group. They are the group that has been outsourced to take down Kurt. And these guys are not very happy about mutant kind. They believe everything that Orcas has told them, but their leader is letting them know that they don't let emotions cloud their performance. And while they try to say that it's not racist as they aren't humans, she wants to keep everything on a professional level, no matter how her team feels about mutant kind, no matter if they believe Orcas or not. But they have a whole dossier on Nightcrawler, on everything he has done, everything that has been going on. As they prepare to hunt down Nightcrawler, this is where we see the leader is none other than Silver Sable. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This was an okay issue. Like I said, I got some problems with the way some of these characters were portrayed. For example, Silver Sable there at the end. She was talking about how it's almost racist to talk about mutants like this. But if it's almost xenophobic, if it is almost racist, then what is Nightcrawler calling Peter Parker a white boy from Queens that wouldn't understand the struggle? It's almost like it's okay if he's a white boy, we can say that. But if he's a mutant, we gotta pump the brakes on this. That's racist. That's going too far. And usually I really wouldn't bring something like this up. I would just skip over it entirely because it's just dumb to even have in the comic. And I get the climate of the world right now. It is so easy to hate on white people. You don't understand the struggle, so you couldn't possibly understand anything that is going on. The reason I bring it up is because we're talking about Peter Parker here. Sure, he may not be a person of color, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't understand struggle, that he doesn't understand heartache. He doesn't understand how hard it is. He may not be a blue demon walking around, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't understand, that he can't empathize with what is going on. It also bothers me that they made Peter Parker essentially say that I don't know if Orcas is lying or not. Like, they literally tried to assassinate Captain America. Are you telling me Spider-Man hasn't talked to any heroes since the fall of X? Not a single one of them. Nobody has come out and been like, hey Spider-Man, this is going on, we should probably do something about it. And then there's Vulture. I'm a little bit disappointed that Vulture is working for Orcas. Now, I kinda understand the motivation. Vulture was given very short time to live, and so he wants resurrection. He wants immortality, but his redemption arc was right there. He was trying so hard to be a good guy. He had retired the Vulture. He was trying to just live a good life. And apparently, all of that has just been thrown out the window. They said, screw it, we're just gonna make Vulture a bad guy again. And we're gonna double down, make him work for Orcas, and him experimenting on mutants. To be honest, this is probably the first comic from the Fall of X that I'm just not the biggest fan of. Now, it's super awesome to see Nightcrawler running around as Spider-Man. That's a lot of fun, I love seeing it, I love seeing him as a street-level hero. And it's also very interesting that Mystique is here. After the Hellfire Gala, we didn't know where she went. We just know that her and Destiny had been separated. Now, something has happened to her head. Something has happened to her memories. We don't know what is going on with her, but I am very excited to find out what does happen in the coming issues, and what role she is really gonna play when it comes to taking down Orcas. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything that has been going on with the Fall of X, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is gonna get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.